All right, so we're back on the record, John. We're back on the record in 2021 CR 10247. State there was something you stated you wanted to put on the record.
Yes, Judge. So this morning Michelle did a great service to me and re-reviewed the case and realized that there were some GPS conditions on his other case, the 2020 CR case. And so this morning, we subpoenaed free trial to get those records. Just at 1 o'clock, pretrial officer came here and provided those records to me. As soon as I got them, I made a copy and I provided to Mr. Young. I just have marked it as State's Exhibit number 25 at this point, just for purposes of the record. It wasn't included, obviously, in our discovery because we didn't have it up until about half an hour or so ago. And so I just wanted the record to be clear as far as what we tendered and what was having. So I'm just going to mark it and ask that it be included just for purpose of the record at this point. I'm not offering it.
All right, defense, the state said that they're not offering that into the record as far as to be presented in its case. They're just letting you know that they just received that and they want you to have it, but they're not intending to offer it in this jury trial.
Well, we're not offering it right now. I don't know if it will become relevant. I just, at this point, it's not.
Well, when it's if and when it's offered, the court will make a ruling. But that will be done outside the presence of the jury.
And Your Honor, and I have to object to its presentation into this court proceeding at all. Literally, as Michael has said, just received it. It has changed the whole.
And Mr. Young, what I'm saying is that the state is not offering it into evidence to go before the jury, and the court is not making a ruling on it being offered until it is actually offered in state. If you intend to offer that, then it needs to be done outside the presence of the jury so that the defense can make its objections and then the court will make a ruling.
Yes, Judge, and at this time, I think we can make a record as far as, you know, he's the defense counsel on this case. He would receive these reports, and we can do all that at a later time. I just want the record to be clear of when we turned it over and that it be included if there were to be an appeal as part of that record for consideration.
All right, so Mr. Young, my understanding is that the state is just placing on the record that they received the documents today, and they're just giving it to you today, not that it's being offered in this trial at all.
In my position, Your Honor, is that it should not even be available to be offered in testimony or into evidence, because we are surprised by it. We prepared for the case with one set of facts, and now they're bringing another issue completely into it.
All right, so state, if you intend to offer that, it will need to be presented outside the presence of the jury. So at that point in time, the court can make its ruling.
Yes, Judge. So we'll be calling 2 more witnesses, and our last witness would be relevant to this portion. And I will approach the court after that, or just before we call that witness, so the court can do it hearing outside the presence.
All right, so let's bring the jurors in.
Your Honor, I apologize, but I need about 15 or 20 minutes just to prepare. When I start putting my witnesses on, this will have a major impact of how I'm going to approach that.
I'm going to give you a break to do that. I'm not going to expect you to present your case immediately after the state rests. So you'll have a chance for that. But it said the jury was told that we're going to start at 1:30, and I don't want to keep them waiting in the hallway.
It's not your fault. It's not my fault. I'm surprised, and I do need to address this issue. Yeah. Your Honor, I would ask for 15 or 20 minutes just to wrap my head around what this is going to do to the way I present my case. It deals with how I'm going to cross-examine this Valdez and everything else about the case.
All right, can we go?
You want the witness on the stand? Okay.
Yes, please.
Is that the witness is on?
No.
Okay, just make sure.
And I have counseled them on discussing anything they hear with the people who are witnesses, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Mr. Young?
Mr. Villarreal asked if these were witnesses. I said no, but I have counseled them not to repeat anything they hear in here to the people who are going to be witnesses.
All right, thank you. Oh, just have a seat here. All right, and if you can bring them in.
Sorry about the monitor. It's going on this.
We're trying to fix it.
Ready?
Yes.
All right, for the jury.
All right, shades off, please. Excuse me, shades off. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, you're still under oath. Please continue.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Young, you're welcome.
Ms. Valdez, where did you say you were living on the 14th of August of 2021?
2307 Or Drive, San Antonio, Texas.
Okay. Did you meet Anthony Salinas anytime earlier that day before he came over to your house?
No. I was at home.
What?
I was at home.
The whole time? And specifically on that date, around noon, you were not dropped off at a Taco Cabana and that Anthony had stopped his truck at and got into his truck.
My daughter had called and I guess they were both together that day. And there's when everything began, stating that the father was passing away. And that's how I knew that was happening. Only because my daughter had called.
Okay, now listen to the question. The question is, did you go to see Anthony Salinas at a Taco Cabana that day around noon? And did you get into his truck and get a ride back to
I
your
was in my
house?
daughter's vehicle.
Did you,
Supposedly he was my daughter. I was in my daughter's car.
and is that how you got to the Taco Cabana?
Yes, and I was unaware of it, that it was him.
And
So it's
did you get into his truck?
Well, I'm always forced to get in his truck because he's very controlling.
Was there anyone else present that day at the Taco Cabana?
No,
Do you know a Jessica Menchaca?
no, sir.
Was there anyone else riding in his truck with you?
No. No,
Did he drop you off at your home on Orr Drive?
well, yeah, because he had forced me to get in the truck. At that time, he put me on the side of on the driver's side.
So he forced you to get into the truck.
He demanded control me because I already knew the consequences from all these years that he's always threatened me and hit me.
But there's no one else in the truck.
No,
And I believe you said earlier that when he came to your house, that he was driving a green truck, correct?
yes,
Was he still driving the same green truck then?
yes.
Ma'am, if you could wait until I finish the question so that the court reporter can take your answers down, okay?
Yes.
Do you recall about what time it was that you got into his truck at the Taco Cabana?
No,
But you think your daughter took you there,
my daughter, I was with my daughter in the vehicle.
okay? Did your daughter leave?
Yes,
Now, when you said you were assaulted there in your driveway, correct?
correct,
You said that he came from behind you and struck you with an electrical cord.
correct.
Can you tell us what kind of electrical cord it was?
It was not an electrical cord, it was more like, cell phone wires.
So a
With
very
speaker
thin,
wires, because it looked like he had so much junk in the back. I just, cornered, content. Like I just looked to the corner of my eye.
now this is a completely separate time from when he took you to that house, correct?
No, it was that day now that I'm remembering because there were so many episodes out in that 1 month.
Okay. So can you tell me now, were there 2 times that you saw him that day or only one?
Somebody, no, I can't remember.
You weren't standing in your driveway then when
Yes, I
he drove
was.
in.
Yes, I was.
Now, the incident at Taco Cabana, when you got into his truck, occurred on the 14th of August also, correct?
He drove me that way. I was driving because he demanded control me. He has an ugly temper. He has a very ugly temper to where I'm already in fear that I've always had
Your Honor, I
to
object. She's not responsive.
That'll be overruled.
Go ahead then.
when my daughter dropped me off at the Taco Cabana, I was there. I had to get in the truck because, like I said, I've always feared him. He was very controlling, very verbal abuse, very, what's that word? Curry up. This is like, he has an ugly temper against me.
Okay, did
So I had no choice but to get on the truck and drive myself home because he was distracted with the temper banging on the truck.
Are you saying he tried to take his truck?
No, I did not take his truck. He asked me to get in the truck and demanded me to drive. He was acting like he was sick
Okay.
because supposedly his father had passed away, but he's played so many tricks on me that I always fear for my life, and I always try to guide myself the best way I can to survive.
But did you drive or did he drive you back to Orr
Like
Drive?
I said, I got in the truck because he told me to get in the truck, he told me to drive. So he was distracted throwing his temper. So like I know all my streets and roads, I already knew where I was headed. It's my own matter. I went home, straight home. I got off my driveway, and that's where he whipped me when I got off.
All right. And you testified earlier today that you were standing in your driveway when he pulled in, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was that true?
No, but not a jury question in my mind on that day, because like I said, I've always been here with him. There's been so many episodes that I never even recorded. So many accidents towards me in front of in my home.
Now, so when you got out of the truck, were you in the driveway of your home?
Like I said, when I got off the truck, I got off. I went to the side of the driveway, he went around, tried to catch me, and that's when he whipped me.
And you said it was a wire like a cell phone wire, correct?
Cell phone wires and a couple of wires together, I don't know, I just like, looked from the corner of my eye just to, you know, because I don't know if he was capable of hitting me in my head, since I've been hit before so many times with different things. Different tools, whatever he could get a hold of.
Was he standing in front of you or behind you when he whipped you? Pardon?
Behind me,
If you could wait until I finish the question to answer, okay?
yes, sir.
Now, and you went over this testimony with the prosecutors before you came here today, didn't you?
I have reviewed it, but like I said, so many things that I've gone through in my entire 14 years of this, what he's been putting me through, there's so much to even say that I could even write a book about it.
Now, when he whipped you, was he standing in front of you or behind you?
Behind me,
Were you running away or walking or standing still?
I tried to take big steps to get to my door, to the 2 steps for the stairs.
So you were walking.
You know, I was like, not walking, because I'm short, so I tried to like try to jump 1 step, like I just try to go fastest to get up there to my house.
How far away from you was he when he whipped you with this
I
wire?
don't know,
You didn't see him.
no, I just felt the whips.
Now, we saw photographs
Yeah,
that showed the diagonal injury from your right shoulder, it looks like, to the left side, lower left side of your body, correct?
correct.
Were there any marks on the front of your body?
I don't know.
Did you see any?
I didn't pay attention. If it was just maybe where he tried to grab me with his fingers, because he always has a habit to sat me down and to grab me from my hair.
But he didn't that day, did he?
I'm pretty sure he did, but I don't recall that day. So
Your statement at the time didn't say that, did it?
I have no comment on that.
Okay. Now, did you receive any medical treatment?
Oh,
You,
never.
did you ever look at these marks in the mirror?
No, I was in pain. I can't see myself with that.
Okay. But you don't remember ever seeing any marks on the front of your body?
I don't recall, have no comment on that.
When you were struck with this wire, was there any connector on the end of it?
I have no idea.
There was no specific spot injury though, was there?
Oh my God,
Yes.
the inflammation, the burn,
But
the
those-
whip,
That was the diagonal
pain.
mark, right? That
the
was,
floating head, all that.
that was the diagonal mark though, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You had no medical treatment.
Yeah.
Did you, and you never looked at this mark in the mirror to try and see what it
I
looked like?
wouldn't want to see it so much marks that I have all over my body from him. I don't like seeing them. I'm scarred inside.
Talking about the 14th of August right now. And there was no one else in the truck when you drove it to your house.
Correct.
And Anthony forced you to get into the truck.
Control demanded me and his expressions on his face and hands, you know. I was forced. I didn't want to get on with that. I never get on with him like that. My kids know, everybody knows that knows.
Your Honor, I
Anthony.
object, not respond to.
That'll be sustained.
May I have an instruction, Your Honor?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, you're instructed to regard the last answer from the witness. Does everyone understand? All right, defense.
Yeah. How long after this incident did you call the police?
Within the 5-10 minutes.
Did you tell the 911 operator that you had been whipped with an electrical cord?
Yes. Wires. I don't know what
Wire,
they were.
okay. But there was no specific spot that was bruised, like maybe being hit with a connector from the wire.
I was whipped with the wires on my back.
Just the
That's
wire.
what that was. And with his hands, when he grabbed me from my hair and whipped me.
Now, do you know, you said he was behind you. Do you know basically where behind you, to the left, right, or directly behind you when he whipped you?
My back.
Just your back.
My back.
Why did your daughter take you to the Taco
I have no
Cabana?
idea, sir.
Ma'am, could I ask you not to answer the question until I've finished, okay? Why did your daughter take you to the Taco Cabana?
Because she had said that she was, I don't know. Between them two, I don't know what was going on. All I know, I'm always caught in the middle. I didn't want to go when we were heading out that way. Supposedly he was having an asthma attack.
Was your daughter taking you to meet him?
I don't know who was there. She just said the green shirt. And that's all she had said. That has passed away. I don't know.
And did she force you to go there?
No,
If you didn't want to go, why did you get in the car?
I have no idea.
But it sounds like you knew you were going to meet
No.
Anthony in the green
When my
truck.
daughter picked me up, we were headed to the Taco Cabana. I don't know what was going on. I didn't know. Till I saw his expression there, and I told my daughter, why did you bring me here to him?
You said earlier that he went into the house with you, correct?
He didn't go inside the house. He didn't have permission to go inside the house.
He didn't go inside the house at all.
He went in with an aggressive behavior. He is not wanted there at the house.
Did he go inside your house?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And you had locked yourself in the bedroom, correct?
No, I went to search my daughter's room.
Okay, your daughter's room is bedroom,
Yes,
correct?
but the door was open. I did not lock myself in no bed.
You didn't. And did he come into the bedroom?
Like I said earlier, I went in because I feared him. I went to my daughter's. She's disabled. He didn't have no authorization to walk inside my home because he's not welcome. He stood there in the hallway arguing and demanding to come out. I wasn't gonna go out after he had already with me. Yes, I stayed in my daughter's bedroom with my daughter.
With your daughter?
Yeah.
And he never came in the bedroom?
Between the door,
Did he come in the bedroom or not?
between the door frame.
Did he come in the bedroom?
Between the door. Demanding me to get out.
But he didn't come in after you?
Yes, he was arguing with me.
Did he still have the wires in his hand?
I don't remember. The point was he did not have no business sitting or being near me.
Can you do me a favor and take your left hand and reach up to your right shoulder?
My left hand.
Left hand to your right shoulder, right shoulder. That's your left shoulder. Reach to your right shoulder. Can you do
Can you
that?
repeat that again?
Can you take your left hand and reach up to your right shoulder? Okay. Can you take it down now? Can you reach up to your right shoulder with your right hand? Reach to the right shoulder with the right hand. There we go. Thank you very much. You said you called the police almost immediately.
Within the 10 minutes. Yes.
Did you come out to see him pull the truck out of the driveway?
No, I just heard it. That he did a burnout. He took off.
Were the keys to the truck in the ignition when you got in?
I believe so.
When you got into the truck, you got right into the driver's seat.
Yes, because he demanded. Yes. He demanded for me to get on the truck. And I did not want to get hit. That's why.
All right, to recap now. What you're saying now is that you did see him earlier that day, correct? No. You only saw him one time.
So I had seen him earlier that day. Well,
Yes.
before all that happened, before he hit me. And my
Yes,
daughter drove me down me.
to the Taco Cabana.
Yes, and he was in the, he demanded for me to get in the vehicle, we were both together. In the vehicle, he was throwing his tantrums and breaking the dashboard.
Okay, and this
So
was,
instead, I was too busy concentrating, driving, trying to get to my home, but he wasn't paying attention because he was throwing all that tantrum.
okay, he wasn't telling you where to drive, was he?
Excuse me?
He was not telling you where to drive, was he?
I wanna go home straight. That's where my nearest safe place was,
Ma'am,
even though if I could cause an accident driving.
ma'am, can you hear the question? Did he tell you where to drive to?
No,
And when he was with you in the truck, you and he were the only two people in the truck.
yes,
Does the truck have a single bench seat, or does it have some seats behind the
I
bench?
did not pay attention to that. So,
Was this the first time you'd ever seen this truck?
mm, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know, cause I don't know, he would let it out. She was brother.
Okay. There was only one time, though, that you and he were together driving from the Taco Cabana to Orat Drive, and then in your home, and then he left, correct?
Yes,
There's only one time.
yes, besides that episode that we're supposed to be talking about today's court case. Like I said, there's been a lot of other accidents and a lot of other things
Let's
that I did
focus.
not call and report.
Let's focus on August 14th. That's the day this happened, correct?
Correct,
And you and he were together from the time your daughter took you to the Taco Cabana, and you drove the truck to your home
with him,
with him in it. And then you said this incident occurred in the driveway, and then you and he went into the home, and then he left, correct?
yes,
And you called the police just a matter of minutes after that.
yes.
Did you have a cell phone with you the whole time?
Maybe not on me, but on my purse.
You had a cell phone with you. And do you remember saying that you'd locked the door when you went into the house?
When I walked inside my house, I slammed the door and I locked it.
He came right in.
Yes, that door is easy just to push in.
And you didn't lock the door of the bedroom.
My daughter had it open.
When you went into the bedroom, you did not lock the door, correct?
Not to the bedroom.
How long after you called the police did the police officer arrive?
There's 20 minutes.
And the defendant had been gone for some time already, correct?
Yes,
And did you tell the officer at that time that you had been whipped?
yes,
Did they take the photographs that we saw earlier?
yes,
And so those photographs were taken at the same time that this incident occurred.
yes.
And there was one little spot of blood there, but I think he told the prosecutor that that was a previous injury that you had.
That was from when that whip,
Of what?
that's when he hit me.
So you're saying that that was also from this
Yes.
incident?
Yes. You can also see the mark of the black wire on
Your
the
Honor,
back.
check, not responsive.
Vote sustained.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Valdez, I just have a couple questions for you. As far as the injury on your back is concerned, did you cause that to yourself?
No, sir.
And, who caused that injury to you?
Not really something else.
And again, that was on August 14th of 2021.
Correct.
As far as where he was standing versus where you were standing, and Brenner, you know. I'll show you what's been admitted, state exhibit number 11. Is it fair to say when you're looking towards your right shoulder, right here, and then down here, the injury is a little bit wider up here versus down here? Is that a yes?
Yes.
And again, that was caused by the defendant in this case on August 14th, 2021.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that your memory of this event was probably better on August 14th of 2021 versus today, which is May 18th of 2022?
Can you repeat that?
Is it fair to say that your memory on the date of this offense is better then versus now, a little less than a year later?
Can you break it down? Because
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Do you think your memory was better of what happened the day that it happened
Yes.
versus today?
Yes.
And you said that after he left the location, it was, from what I understood on your cross-examination, you said it was about 5 to 10 minutes after he left that he called police.
Yes.
And you reported to police what you told us today.
Yes.
As far as your recollection of the events on August 14th of 2021, have there been multiple incidents with this defendant where he's physically assaulted you?
Yes, many two.
And obviously, other than the two that we're talking about, with the two that he went to prison for.
Yes.
Sometimes some of those events get confusing.
Yes. Because it's just a repeating thing that he does, but just in different ways and different moments and different cases.
And I'll pass this.
Defense.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
We can excuse your judge.
Defense, is she excused?
No objection.
All right. The rule hasn't been invoked. What that means, you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you can speak to are attorneys for the state and attorneys for the defense. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you. State, call your next witness. You can sit down.
State calls Officer Wallace. He's right here. Oh, he said he didn't.
Okay, we check the witness stand, please. Would you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, you can lower your hand, take a seat, and you can state your name for the record, please.
His name is Kyle.
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
Kyle Wall.
All right, state.
Good afternoon, Officer Wallace.
Afternoon.
Could you please tell the jury how you're currently employed?
I'm a police officer for San Antonio Police Department. I work West Individual.
And can you also tell the jury why today is a special day for you?
Oh, I get to bring my baby home today. You better make it, sorry.
So, how long have you been with the San Antonio Police Department?
Since May of 2020, started the academy, and I've been on duty on shift since February of 2021.
And prior to the San Antonio Police Department, what did you do?
I worked in minor league baseball and major league baseball as an umpire.
Okay, now to become an officer with the San Antonio Police Department, what sort of training did that entail?
It's 9 months, from May to February was a training course for the police academy. It's located on the south side of San Antonio, where you're trained in 42 different subject matters to include penal code, government code, code of criminal procedures, traffic code, etc. You're trained on that, you're tested on it, you have to maintain a mean point average, and at the end of your schooling, so to speak, you are given a certification exam administered by the state, and that's how you get your police officer's license.
And as part of your training, do you have to do any training out in the field or out working with other officers?
Yes, so part of our course of training at the academy is there's tactics training in case you learn how to operate as a police officer there. There's also a field training element where you shadow an officer. That period of time lasts 14 weeks. And then afterwards, as part of good measure, as a young officer, it's always good to kind of follow a more senior officer and, you know, kind of learn from experience. There's no substitute for experience.
Now, you said you work on patrol,
Yes, ma'am.
and what are your duties on patrol entail?
My straight duties are to answer calls for service. Anything from music complaints to stabbings to shootings to family violence to just plain old crashes, accidents.
How often are you called out for family violence reports?
Family violence reports are probably, they're very often. We'll get family violence calls at least once every other day, at least, it's sad to say, but it's very common.
Now, were you working patrol on August 14th, 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that date, were you called out to a 2307 or?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that in Bear County, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
And about what time were you called out to 2307 or?
The time would have been during my, I don't remember the exact time. If I can refer to my report now.
Can I make approach?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 26 for identification purposes. Can you tell me what that is?
This looks like the report for the call for service.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when did this do you see your report anywhere?
Yes, this is my report
Okay. How do you know it's your report?
because this is what I wrote.
And does that appear to be a true and accurate copy of your report?
Yes, this is what I wrote.
Would it be helpful in refreshing your memory?
Yes.
Now, you may use that report to refresh your memory, but please don't read directly from it.
No, Jeff, can the officer reviewing his report, there's been no statement from him that he does not remember something. And we would like to monitor when he does feel like he has to. If there's no request to refresh his recollection, I would ask that he not read from this report.
Judge, I think he specifically asked to review his report, said it would be helpful in say what time you went out there.
All right. So state if you'll ask the question, officer, if you need to review your report to refresh your memory,
Yeah.
just state that fact.
Yes. I'm going to refresh my memory, and it was right after 5 o'clock. It would have been around 5:45.
And what was the nature of that call?
It was a family violence call for service. It was just a report, so I usually report calls with us by ourselves.
Showing you what's been previously marked and admitted as State's Exhibit number 8. Is that the location where you were called out?
It's the location.
And when you were at the location, did you make contact with anyone at that location?
I made contact with refresh my recollection on the names.
Sure.
There was a Denise Valdez, her 17-year-old daughter, who did not speak. She's nonverbal. There was her 17-year-old daughter's friend, whose name was Michelle, I believe, Martinez.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked and admitted as State's Exhibit number 9. Do you recognize that person?
That is the victim. That's Denise.
Now, when you make contact with Denise, did you make any observations about her?
Yes, she had 2 abrasions to the upper back, to her upper back, where her shirt was exposed. The end of which one of them had slight bleeding. Yes.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked and admitted as State's Exhibit number 10. Do you recognize that?
Yes, that is her back.
And I'm also showing you what's been previously marked and admitted as State's Exhibit 11 through 16. Do you recognize those?
Those are Ms. Valdez's injuries that I observed, yes. Yes, all of them.
Now, how did those injuries appear to you at the scene?
Fresh, like it happened within 30 minutes, an hour. Like I said, there was no, the blood was red, so it would have just happened. It wouldn't like fully gotten old, I guess I would say.
Is there any other way that you would describe those injuries?
Fresh on her back, it would have been very hard to reach that area.
When you say it would be hard to reach that area, do you mean for her to reach that area or for someone else to reach that area?
No, for you to reach that area. I mean, if they're between her shoulder blades. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to, I can't really even do that. So it's kind of hard to, that's the nature of the injuries.
So, just to make it clear for the jury, you're saying it would be hard for her to inflict the injuries on herself?
Yes, correct.
When you spoke with her, did she tell you, without getting into specifically what she said, but did she tell you what happened, how she sustained those injuries?
Yes, she did.
And did she provide you with the name of the suspect involved in the case?
Yes, she identified him by his name, date of birth, his Anthony Smith.
When you were at the scene, did you speak with anyone else about what
Yes.
happened?
I spoke to daughter's girlfriend,
And who was that?
Miss Martinez, I believe is what her name was. Alyssa Martinez? Yes, Michelle Martinez, excuse me.
Do you know if she was also a witness to the offense?
Yes.
After speaking with Denise Valdez and Michelle Martinez, what else did you do while you were at 2307 or?
Well, I observed the whole property, evidence collected by not myself, I called for we call them UEDI, Uniform Evidence Detective Investigators. There are patrol officers who collect evidence, they're trained to do so. He showed up, he collected the evidence, and I just spoke to the witnesses.
And when you say collected the evidence, what do you mean in this particular case?
So, photographing injuries.
So he's the one that actually took the photos
Yes.
of the scene. And did you do anything else while you were on the location?
I contacted the detective for 9 investigations. It's given the nature of so after I was informed of the nature of what happened, I did research on the suspect that I was given. Found that he had a
Your Honor, object, irrelevant.
Right, that'll be sustained.
did research on the suspect.
Excuse me, once I sustain an objection, that means that you're not to answer.
Okay.
State, you want to ask your question, please?
Aside from what you've already told us, was there anything else that you did while you were at 2307 or?
Collected evidence, spoke to witnesses, observed the location, and contacted night CID, or night investigations.
I'll pass the witness at this time.
Defense?
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, do you recall any description of Mr. Salinas's truck that he arrived in?
I did not observe his truck.
Did you call this report in for somebody to look for him?
At the time, I did not issue a BOLO.
Did you do that at a later time?
No, I did not issue a BOLO.
Approximately when did you finish talking with with Ms. Valdez and these other people at the location?
I believe I remained on scene for 90 minutes to 2 hours before we relocated to headquarters, where Ms. Valdez gave a statement to in the investigation.
Okay, now when you were looking at the scene generally, did you see any wires of any kind in the driveway or in the house?
No wires that I was informed that were attributed to the alleged assault.
Did you see any wires around in the area at all?
I mean, there would always be wires around the house. I mean, just by nature, you have cords and power cords and things like that nature, but not laying them out.
Did you include in your report any description of the vehicle that Ms. Valdez gave you?
I did include a description of the vehicle that I was provided by by Ms. Valdez.
And what color was that vehicle?
I was informed the color of the vehicle was green.
No further questions, Ron.
State?
Just a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Without getting into anything that was said, were Ms. Valdez and Ms. Martinez's statements consistent or inconsistent?
They were consistent with each other.
And were they consistent with the injury sustained or inconsistent?
I believe based on her narrative that they were consistent with injuries.
And you said that the defendant was not at the location at the time you arrived.
Correct.
So anything he had in his possession would not have been at the location at that time as well.
If you took something with you, yes, it would not have been there.
Excuse me, you need to step out of the courtroom. May continue.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, defense.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Please excuse this witness.
No objection.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not to discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. If you leave those documents with the court reporter, please. And state, call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. I did call Detective Rowland.
All right, if you would take the seat in the witness stand, please, and if I can have parties approach for the record. All right, you can lower your hand. If you state your name for the record, please.
My name is Bonnie Rolo.
All right, state.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is it Detective?
Yes, the detective Rolo.
And Detective Rowland, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the San Antonio Police Department as a detective for the night criminal investigation unit.
And so are you currently assigned to what we call it, night CID?
Night service.
And you're still assigned to that unit, correct?
Correct.
What are your hours?
My hours are from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning.
Did you work last night?
Yes.
Okay, so you've been up overnight.
Overnight, yes, well, 3 in the morning, I got up early.
Okay. So how long have you been a detective with SAPD?
It's been since July of last year.
And so prior to that, were you also with SAPD?
Yes, sir.
And in what capacity?
I was a police officer on patrol.
And prior to SAPD, do you have any other law enforcement experience?
No.
And generally, can you just briefly describe for the jury, what are the steps to become a police officer with the San Antonio Police Department?
We go to 7.5 month academy, which encompasses tactics, penal code, and family violence, juvenile, all that encompasses training for criminal investigation, crime scene processing, and witnesses identification and interviewing. Also physical exercise and fitness, health, and pretty much anything has to do with criminal law enforcement capacity.
So are you also during that training at the academy, are you trained in the penal code and the code of criminal procedure?
Yes.
What are the steps to promote from a patrol officer to a detective?
So once, after 5 years of being on patrol, you're eligible to take that test, then with the detectives investigators test. And we take that test and depends on the score, the higher the score. The passing is 70, but you have to score 90 or above usually to be able to grow. The test is like 100 questions that is about penal code, code of criminal procedures, and on investigation, crime scene, general procedures.
So I want to direct your attention to August 14th of 2021. Were you still employed with San Antonio Police Department with the night CID unit?
Correct.
and as an investigator.
Correct. Yes.
Were you called to respond to a scene or regarding an offense that was alleged to happen at 2307 Ford Drive?
Yes, I was contacted by the handling officer that the crime was committed allegedly, so they brought the witness to the headquarters to be interviewed.
So it's fair to say you never made the scene,
Correct,
but you did speak with witnesses on this case.
yes.
So if you can describe for the jury, night CID, what is the function of that?
My city, we handle felonies and against persons and felonies with involves property high value overnight. We don't carry a caseload, we don't we don't take the case, we don't come back to the case investigated. Whatever we do with that case at night, then we pass it to the follow-up unit. In this case, will be special victims unit. We take statements and it's family violence especially. We try our best to do our part to address those issues. That way, the perpetrator doesn't have a chance to come back that same day or sooner and commit more damage to the victim. But it's everything, especially violence against persons that we can do overnight.
Okay, so night CID's role is just kind of the, I don't say for lack of a better term, like initial trauma. You're going to meet with witnesses, talk to people, but you're not going to carry the caseload after that.
Correct, it's a preliminary investigation.
And in this case, again, you were able to meet with a witness on this case.
Correct.
Do you ever recall the name of the witness you were able to meet with?
Denise Ortiz Valdez.
And do you remember about approximately what time you met with her?
It must have been. It was after 7 p.m. I don't recall the exact time.
Would having a copy of your report help you recall, refresh your memory as to what time approximately you met with her?
Yes.
Your hand, Coach.
Yes.
Hi, Detective Barlow. I'm going to show you what's been marked as safety exhibit number 26 for identification purposes. And specifically, why don't you go to page? Let's mark it 1 of 3. You recognize that document?
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
It's my, it's called an ICID log of report, which is the summary of what I did on that case, the preliminary investigation.
Okay. And so if you need to refresh your memory from it, please feel free to look at it, but don't read directly from it. So if you could review it and if it refreshes your memory, tell me approximately what time you met with the victim on this case.
So the time was 11 p.m. 23:35,
23:35
which is 11:35 p.m.
for us civilians, right?
Mhm.
And so after you spoke with her, did based on reviewing her statement as well as talking with the officers, did her without telling me specifically what she said, was it consistent?
Yes, it was.
And was it consistent with her injuries?
Yes.
During your investigation, did you come to find out whether Mr. Salinas was able to have contact with the victim, Denise Valdez?
Yes.
All right. Detective Rolo, I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as safety exhibit number 1. Ultimately, we were able to discover that there was a condition of bond that prevented Mr. Salinas from having contact with Denise Valdez. Specifically, this condition. Is it your opinion, based on your training and experience, that a no contact condition of bond is a condition of bond that relates to the safety of a victim?
Correct.
And again, you're trained in the penal code and in the code of criminal procedure, correct?
Correct.
And during that training and experience, did you learn about what family violence is and what family violence isn't?
Correct.
I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as state exhibit number 2R, which is the indictment in cause number 2020 CR 5977. Specifically, I want to point your direction to this language right here, which says, intentionally and knowingly communicating directly with Denise Valdez in a threatening or harassing manner, to it, entering her house and pointing a gun at her. Based on your training and experience, is pointing a gun at somebody and threatening in their home, is that family violence?
Your Honor, I
Yes.
object.
Yes, your objection.
I object, Your Honor. If her opinion is not valid, the jury's able to read this and decide their own. You're going to give them legal instructions. You have not instructed this witness. And I would ask that her answer be stricken.
Right, that'll be sustained. Ladies and gentlemen, of the jury, you're instructed to disregard the answer from the witness.
If you had a case where somebody threatened or harassed somebody, or rather I say, entered somebody's home and pointed a gun at somebody, would you send that case to the family violence follow-up unit?
Your
Yes.
Honor, I would object, or it's irrelevant what she would do with that case.
Right, that'll be overruled.
And the answer was yes.
Yes.
And you understand that we're here today for a trial on a violation of bond condition by committing an assault case, correct?
Correct.
Ultimately, after you talk with the witness, you review the evidence, did you decide to do something?
Yes, yes.
And in that, did you decide to draft an affidavit for arrest warrant?
Correct.
And that affidavit, and you asked the judge to issue a warrant for the defendant for violation of bond condition by assault.
Correct.
And at this time, I would pass the witness.
Defense.
No further questions, Your
All
Honor.
right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
We ask that she be excused.
Defense.
No objection.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means, you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state and attorneys for the defense. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
State, who's your next witness?
And Judge, may we approach?
Yes. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief recess. I'm going to have you all back here at 3 p.m. Remember, you've heard some testimony today. You're not allowed to discuss or deliberate amongst yourself. You're not allowed to do anything about this case. The information that you have from this case will appear in this courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.
Just try not to. I like it because it was.
Okay, we'll see if we can get them to fix it. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, and Mr. Young, it's my understanding you need to take a short break. So I'll let you take your short break. I'm going to take a short break and then we'll come back and discuss the issue.
Yes, Judge, thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, Well, this is a.
This is,
That's what,
okay.
I'll print it again, but that's what,
Did he object to her testifying?
Oh, yeah.
well,
Well, I just know that she was saying we'll discuss the issue. And I didn't know.
Yeah. that's what we're-
I came in like after that and it was like referenced again. And like, this is where some.
here's actually,
Honestly, the best thing we did was like, right in the right shoulder, she's like,
the one that she brought. the
What was that about?
But that one has, that one's the one.
She didn't get her shoulder broken, I'm just saying.
No, he's trying to show that she could have done it to herself. Like get a cord, go like that. I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, because I like whacking myself in the back.
this is the one Lupe sent? Or this
You
one?
guys sent the one
Yeah,
that-
It's not on the Zoom, right?
That's the pictures, no.
But can, no, I'm saying, can anyone hear me right now on Zoom?
It got caught up in the wheel. You don't tell me. And everyone, remember, you can sit in any seat you choose to. And I see we've moved around a little bit to wake everybody up, for me to remember different faces. All right, everyone, please be seated. State, call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, the state will rest.
Right, defense,
Defense to make my opening statement.
you may proceed.
Okay, as Paul Harvey used to say, now we will have the other side of the story. We're gonna put 3 witnesses on. We're gonna put on Ms. Rebecca Bentaka. She's going to testify that she was with Anthony Salinas most of the day on the 14th of August of 2021. That she went to work with him because they worked together. He gave her a ride. He was at work when he received notice that his father had died and he was somewhat broken up. And so she and he went to go home. On the way home, she's going to tell you, they stopped at a Taco Cabana so he could freshen up because he was somewhat distraught, crying. He needed to wash his face before he saw his family. While they were at the Taco Cabana, yes, it's the same Taco Cabana that you heard Ms. Valdez talk about, that she came, arrived there, yes, her daughter brought her, and then she forced her way into Mr. Salinas's truck. Only now it's an orange truck, not a green truck. He usually rode a green truck, but he belonged to his brother, and so he was using the orange truck. Ms. Machaka will tell you that she was in the truck with them, that they drove to the OR address and dropped off. She was there. She saw everything that happened, and this stuff didn't happen. There's a conflict there, obviously. But I put on several other young ladies, their relatives of my client. They were at his brother's home. He was there. He was there all day until late in the evening, when he received a call from Amy Sanchez, who said, "Hey, the police are here. They're looking for you. What's going on?" And the GPS monitor on figured if the police are looking for him, yes, it's wrong, but this is what happened. He cut the monitor off. His niece is going to testify that she saw him get the phone call, and then he cut the monitor off. She's also going to tell you she abused him verbally about doing something so stupid. It happened. And then, he's still there until after dark in August 14th of 2021. Dark doesn't come until after 8 o'clock, certainly not at 5:27. He was there until well into the evening because they were having a barbecue, because Angel Lee, the owner of the home, likes to have barbecues after dark because it's cool. That's what we're being presented. You're going to have to listen to it and decide who is telling you the truth. We call Roxanne and Rebecca. Okay, I don't have names down very well. Go ahead, Mr. Chuck.
All right. you can raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Please make sure you speak up, have a seat, and if you could state your name for the record.
Rebecca Menchaca.
All right, defense.
Ms. Menchaca, how do you know Anthony Salinas?
He's a friend.
And is he a coworker?
Yes, he is.
And on the 14th of August, the day that his father died, when did you first see him that day?
In the morning,
And what time in the morning?
about 8:30, about 8:30,
And what were you doing?
going to get ready to go to work.
And did he give you a ride to work?
Yes.
How far is it from where you met him and where your work was?
I wasn't too far from him that morning. He was at Amy's Sanchez' house, and I was at the corner store. So it was easier for him to pick me up from there.
Okay. How far did you go to work though? How far away from Amy's house?
It was in the Babcock area.
And you have to give us either a time or a distance.
I don't even know how far that would be.
How long did it take you to get there from Amy's
About
house?
20 minutes, maybe.
How much?
About 20 minutes.
Okay, see, that wasn't that hard. Now, were you with Anthony the rest of that day?
Yes.
Were you there when he got the phone call telling him his father had died?
Yes, it was.
How did it affect him?
He was pretty, he was upset, he was hurt, he was very emotional.
All right. And did you and he decide to leave work at that time?
Yes,
Because he was your ride, right?
yes.
And where did you go from this work site in Babcock?
To the Taco Cabana right at the corner.
All right. How long did it take you to get there?
About 7 minutes, maybe.
Not long at all.
Mhm.
What did he do when he got to the Taco Cabana?
He got off, went inside to go wash his face and clean himself up.
Okay, was that because he'd been crying?
Yes.
While he was in the Taco Cabana, did Denise Valdez arrive at the Taco Cabana?
Yes, she got there, in a black 300, I believe,
Okay. Somebody else drove her there,
her daughter.
her daughter, okay. Did you talk to Denise Valdez?
Mhm.
What did she do when she got to the Taco Cabana?
She jumped in the truck.
What do you mean jumped in the truck?
She got into the truck.
Did she get in the driver's seat or the passenger seat or the back?
I was in the back, so I was fixing stuff when they were along with her, and I believe it was through the driver's seat.
Okay. Did Anthony get into the truck?
Afterwards, yes. He didn't know she was in the truck though, until he got in.
Did he want her to be in the truck?
No, he asked her a couple times to get out.
And she wouldn't.
She just kept arguing with him.
And he was already distraught.
Yes, he was.
When he got in the truck, did he get in the driver's seat or the passenger seat?
He got in the driver's seat.
Do you remember whether he had left the keys in the ignition when he went into the Taco Cabana to clean up?
I didn't pay attention.
All right. Did you see him give her the keys or did she just have the keys?
He didn't give her nothing that I knew, that I know of.
Okay.
I didn't see him hand her anything.
Now she was driving, correct?
No,
All right. How did she get out of the driver's seat?
she slid over.
And he got in?
She hadn't really slid over. She jumped into the driver's seat and slid over. And that's when he got in the truck, but he didn't see her. I mean, of course he didn't see her. He didn't know she was in the driver's seat. I got in the truck, period.
when he got in the truck, she had already, because it's a one seat in the front, so she stayed over. It's just like a middle console.
All right. But he was driving the truck. And did she tell him where she wanted to go? Don't tell me what she said. Just tell me, did she tell him where she wanted to go? Did Anthony say where he was going to take her?
No, he just gets her to get out.
And she didn't. Where did Anthony drive to?
To the house where she used to live.
Is that on Orr Drive?
Yes.
And were you still in the truck?
Yes, I was in back.
And when you arrived at Orr Drive, did she get out of the truck?
After arguing, yes.
Continuing to argue. Right? Was she arguing with him while they were driving?
Yes.
Did Anthony get out of the truck at Orr Drive?
No.
Not at all.
No.
And you could see what was happening.
Mhm.
When she got out of the truck, what did she do?
She slammed the door and she said she was gonna walk to her mom's house. And we left.
Did you see Anthony get out of the truck at all? Where did you and Anthony go to after that?
I was with him maybe like not even 5 minutes after that. Cause I got off the truck and I had to go my way, so he could go with his family. So my
Okay,
understanding, he went to his brothers.
now, where did he take you?
I stayed on Bin Road, which is right up where Orr is. He didn't take me anywhere, I got off the truck, so he can go do his thing with his family.
All right, all right. Now, you didn't see where he went after he dropped you off.
He went towards, Morocco.
But you didn't go with him.
No,
You don't know where his ultimate destination was.
no.
Okay. This was definitely on the 14th of August, 2021, the day his dad died.
Yes.
Did you see Anthony Salinas have any physical contact with Denise Valdez?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
State,
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Menchaca, is your date of birth August 22nd, 1986?
Yes, it is.
Are you a convicted felon?
Yes, I am.
And for what?
Burglary.
Burglary of a building?
Burglary, yes, burglary.
And when were you convicted of that?
Burglary.
Did you go to prison for that?
Yes, I did.
As far as this date is concerned, August 14th of 2021, this particularly sticks out in your mind?
Excuse me?
This particularly sticks out in your mind?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is there a reason for that?
Today his dad passed away
Okay. Are you really close with the defendant?
with the whole family.
Okay. So it's not just fair to say you're just coworkers, right?
Right.
Okay. So how long have you known Mr. Salinas?
Since like 2001, maybe,
So over 20 years at this point.
something like that.
Okay. So prior to when he went to prison for assaulting Denise Valdez.
Yeah, I knew of him. I had seen him, a couple times, but known him, worked with him, it hasn't been too long.
Okay. So I don't understand which one is it?
Prior to him going to prison, I didn't know him.
So he went to prison in 2008.
I didn't know, well, like I said, I knew of him. Because my family and stuff, but to say that I knew him personally, I didn't know him before he went to prison.
Do you know him personally when he went to prison, before he went to prison in 2014?
Yes, I had met him and hung out with him a few times.
What did y'all work together
Resurfacing, countertops in about 17.
at? Okay. Did you have a physical address you went to work at?
No,
Okay. And so when you said that y'all left work, where did y'all leave from?
we were driving around, looking for bids, like to give bids for a job.
Okay, so you didn't actually go anywhere, you were just driving around town.
To apartments, yes.
Okay.
I can't give you the specific name of the place.
Okay. And at this time, on August 14th of 2021, did you know whether Mr. Salinas was on GPS monitoring or not?
Yes.
So you knew he was. So you know they track his locations.
Yes.
And so, do you know approximately, generally the area you were before he got the call that his dad died?
I know it was close to 410 and after it took us that long to get to the Taco Bell.
And how long were you there?
Maybe 7-8 minutes.
And then prior to that, where were y'all at?
I wouldn't even be able to say the name of the street.
So when he picked you up, you said about 8:30 a.m. in the morning, right? And that he picked you up from Denise's,
No,
I'm sorry, from Ashley's. Is that
No.
correct? What's his girlfriend's name at the time?
that I know of, he didn't have a girlfriend.
Okay, who's Amy Sanchez?
That's his friend, his best friend,
Okay, is that the house that you,
where he lived at.
so they weren't in a dating relationship?
No.
And when he picked you up at 8:30, where's the first place y'all went to?
I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
Okay, do you remember how long you were at that first place?
Maybe like 15-20 minutes, maybe.
Okay, would it surprise you to know that his GPS shows him for his first stop as being there for 4 hours and 12 minutes?
You worked it out.
So that wouldn't be consistent with what was happening that day.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess the GPS is wrong. Okay. And so approximately what time did you, did Mr. Salinas get a call that his dad had died?
Let's say maybe after 3, maybe.
After 3 p.m.?
Yes, I think 3:30, somewhere around there.
Okay. And then as soon as he gets the call, y'all drive over to the Taco Cabana.
No, as soon as he got the call, he was in his little moment, whatever, and we left. Well, I was already in the truck, but we took off from there and I told him, stop, get yourself up, get yourself together. And that's when we saw the Taco Bell, it was the closest place.
Okay, so the first place that y'all stop after he finds out is the Taco Cabana.
Mhm.
And it just so happens to be that you tell him to stop at this random Taco Cabana and that Denise Valdez just happens to show up there.
I don't know how she even knew we were gonna be there.
Yeah, me either. As far as how long were you at the Taco Cabana?
About 7 minutes, 8 minutes.
Okay,
No.
and so in that 7 to 8 minute period of time, Ms. Valdez had to find out where he was, go there, and all of this happens within 7 to 8
She would
minutes.
always show up where he was at, like randomly show up and just cause problems for him.
And as far as when Ms. Valdez and Anthony were talking, were they talking outside the car, outside the truck?
No,
So they're talking inside the truck?
yeah, they were, well, she was yelling.
Okay, he's just calm, cool, collected.
He was yelling back, but he was driving.
He was what?
He was driving.
Okay, let me back it up a minute because I don't know if we're on the same page here. So at the Taco Cabana, you said that Denise shows up, right? That's about 3:30-ish.
Maybe maybe closer to 4.
Okay, and so let's give you 4, right? Just to put a little bit later. 4 o'clock. How long are you at the Taco Cabana?
Less than 10 minutes, or 7, 8 minutes.
Okay, and so while you're at the Taco Cabana, she says Denise shows up, right? And so does Denise get in the car just on her own?
Mhm.
And that's without even Anthony being in the car.
Correct.
And that Anthony comes back outside and then sees Denise in the truck.
Mhm.
So when Denise gets in the truck, do you say anything to her?
I don't know, her and I do not get along.
Why is that?
I've never really gotten along with her because of the way that she is.
Is it because you feel that she's responsible for sending him to prison twice?
She just has an ugly attitude.
And then the 7, 8 minutes, then y'all take off, right, in the truck. And then how far is it, how many minutes does it take you to get to the house?
To the house on 4.
Yes.
Maybe 12 minutes.
So that puts you about 4:12, right?
Mhm.
So you also testified on direct examination, you said drove her to the house where she used to live.
Correct.
How did you know where Denise Valdez lived?
Because she was messing around with Danny, which is Anthony's brother, and I had taken him over there and dropped him off a couple times.
Okay, so you just happened to be involved in some way, so I don't know, intimately involved with this family that you're dropping off his brother because now Denise has a relationship with his brother,
Yeah, that's their business. I don't get in their personal business like that.
but you're business enough to drive her there and figure out where she,
I just
you know,
gave him a
where she
ride.
lives, right?
Yes.
Do you know where she lives now?
No.
Okay. How do you know she moved?
Because he was resurfacing I believe the restroom, the bathtub, when the new tenants moved into that house. So of course we worked together. So I knew she had moved.
So you just happened to go do work there at that residence after Denise moved?
Correct.
So when's the last time we said that you drive to the house about 4:12 p.m. You get there about 4:12 p.m. rather on the Anderson Porter Drive. And then she gets out of the truck and you get out of the truck at the same time, right?
Nope, I got in the truck
Okay, then when do you get out of the truck?
when we got from there,
Okay, when did you leave from there?
after we got off.
Okay, and how
After
long
she
was
got
that?
out of the truck,
After she gets out of the truck, how long does it take to get to the place where you get dropped off?
I got dropped off like not even 3 minutes away.
It's about 4:15.
Yeah, about.
So after 4:15, you can't tell me where Anthony Salinas is, right?
No.
So if police were called at 5:45 p.m., you have no idea what happened between 4:15 and 5:45 p.m.
Correct.
So really, you're here to tell us that you were with him that day. You can't tell us whether this offense happened or not.
In front of me, no, it didn't.
You didn't witness anything, right?
Correct.
You can't tell this jury where Anthony Salinas was between the hours of 4:15 p.m. and 5:45 p.m.
No, I just seen him go in the direction towards Morlock.
Would you be surprised to know that his GPS shows him at 23:07 or at 5:18 p.m.?
I don't know if he was there or not at that time. I was not with him.
And leaving that address about 5:27 p.m.
Mhm.
Okay, which is about what time police got called. You can't tell the jury that, right?
No.
So you realize that this offense date was March 14th of 2021, right?
Yes.
And who did you talk with regarding this case in order to come here and testify?
Mr. Young.
Mr. Young, what did he talk to you?
When?
Yeah.
I can't give you a specific date.
Was it weeks ago, months ago?
Like maybe 2 months ago.
So you knew this case was being going to trial, right? You never just thought, hey, I have this really good information. And so I really think I should tell the state this. You never thought to try to call us up, let us know, hey, this guy might be innocent.
I mean, yeah, it crossed my mind, but I had a lot going on myself, so.
A lot more that was important.
My dad was dying.
Understandably, but this guy is facing prison, right? And you decided the first time you're gonna tell the state anything about this is today at approximately 3:30 PM. And you never called us before.
No, I didn't think I had to.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Depends.
Did you keep a telephone log and a time log or time sheet when you and Anthony were together on these business calls?
So majority of the time I would. But sometimes I forget to write things down.
Okay. And you didn't write them down that day, did
No. Or the day before.
What color truck were you and Anthony in that day?
Number one.
Okay. Does he also have a green one?
Mhm.
But he wasn't using it that day.
No, I believe Danny had it.
Danny is who?
His brother. One of the brothers, Angel and Danny. I know one of them had it.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any other questions?
No further questions, Dave.
Is this witness excused or subject for recall?
I'd like the subject to recall, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state. Please make sure you're available if recalled. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can step down. Defense, call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor, defense would call Amy Sanchez. May I go get her?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, you take a seat right here, please. Oh, take a seat here. All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. If you have a seat, make sure you keep your voice raised so the court reporter and the jurors can hear you. And if you could state your name for the record, please.
Amy Sanchez.
All right, defense.
And Ms. Sanchez, did Anthony Salinas live with you on the 14th of August, 2021?
Yes, he did.
Are you and he romantically involved, or is it just a business deal?
No, he just lived in the back room of my house.
All right. Did you see him that morning before he went to work?
Yes,
Was he going to pick anyone up to go to work?
and he was supposed to pick up, I mean, Rebecca.
Rebecca, she has two names.
No, her name is Rebecca Jessica. That's her full name.
Okay. And the plan was for him to pick her up.
Pick her up and go.
Okay, hey, you realize head nods don't work. You have to answer orally.
Yes, That was
Okay.
the fact.
At any time that day, did police come to your home looking for Anthony?
Yes, it was later on in a little past noon in the evening when two officers showed up, knocked on my door, and asked for Anthony.
Okay. He wasn't there though.
No, he was not.
Did you call him at that time?
Yes, I called him to let him know that the police had come to knock on the door and were looking for him.
Do you know where he was when you called?
No, he was either at Angels or on his way to Angels. But
Okay. And you don't have a specific time when that was?
no, but it wasn't dark. I know that much because both officers were in my front yard and it was still daylight.
No further questions, Ron?
Defense, I'm sorry, state.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Sanchez, what's your date of birth?
4/28/70.
4/28/70. I'm sorry, I know it's not polite to ask a woman her age, but
What did you?
just gotta check. As far as Mr. Sanchez is concerned, I'm sorry, Mr. Salinas is concerned. You said that he lived at the back of your residence.
Yes, I have a room in the back.
What was the address of that residence?
110 Plan Alley, San Antonio, Texas 78207.
And you said that the plan that morning was that he was gonna go pick up Rebecca, Jessica, and Chaka, right? How did you know
Yes.
that?
Because I talked to Anthony every time we would get home, like, he lived there, so I would always see Anthony.
Okay, so is it fair to say that you had a, I don't say intimate as being physically or romantically?
Anthony's my best friend, I've known him for over 30 years.
And if you just let me finish my question.
Okay,
I'm not trying to say that you had a romantic or intimate relationship with him. But I mean intimate in the sense of you were very close with Anthony, right?
yes,
And again, you said you knew him for 30 years?
a little over 30 years, yes, sir.
Okay, and so, other than him leaving the house that morning, you didn't see him any other part of that day?
No, I didn't.
You said the officer showed up to your house and they were looking for Anthony.
Yes, sir.
Do you know why they were looking for Anthony?
No, they were just looking, all they said was, is Anthony, we're looking for Anthony Salinas.
Okay. Do you remember getting a call from a pretrial service officer that day?
A pretrial service officer?
A person who's monitoring his GPS?
Trujillo?
Yes. Well, it could be Laura Tijerina or Christina Ramos. You remember getting a call from either one of them?
No, and I've never spoken to Ms. Ramos. I know I spoke to Trujillo and Tijerina on different occasions, but I don't recall that day.
Okay. And specifically, do you remember telling Officer Tijerina that two police officers just left and they were looking for the defendant to be questioned about an incident that just occurred on the west side? Do you remember that?
I'm sorry, say again, that they were looking for,
That they were looking for Anthony to be questioned about an incident that just occurred on the west side? You remember her asking you about that?
no, I just saw that there was two officers there that were looking for Anthony. And he wasn't there when they went to the back to go check and he was not there.
Were you aware that Anthony was on GPS monitoring at this time?
Yes, because I had to give them the address and everything at the place where he gets the monitor and they get payment.
Okay, and so you're aware then that the GPS tracks where he's at.
Right,
And so when is the next time that you saw Anthony on August 14th of 2021?
I didn't see Anthony on August 14th of 2021 from the time that he left. I didn't see.
So he never came back.
No,
So really, all that you can offer to this jury is that on August 14th of 2021, Anthony left the residence that he and you lived at that morning.
Right,
That's all really you can tell the jury about Anthony on that day.
on that day.
Right.
And then that's the day that his dad passed, and I spoke to his brother and his other brother, and, yeah. So, but that, as far as Anthony, he was there that morning. When she was-
I don't know if there are questions.
Defense?
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall? State,
She can be excused.
defense? All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you can speak to are attorneys for the state and the defense. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am,
All right, you're excused. Thank you.
thank you.
Defense, call your next witness. Yes.
This way. This way.
Could you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, please have a seat. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the jurors and the court reporter can hear.
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
state your name for the record, please?
Crystal Salinas?
All right, defense.
Ms. Salinas, how are you related to Anthony Salinas?
I'm his niece. His niece?
Okay. And is your father Dan?
No, it's Joe Angel Salinas.
On the day that your grandfather died, on the 14th of August, 2021, when was the first time that you saw Anthony Salinas?
I saw him here like at my father's house in the afternoon.
Okay. And do you remember what color truck he was driving?
It was a burgundy. I believe it's burgundy.
Does he also have a green truck?
Yes, he does, but it was in possession of my uncle Danny.
Or someone else was driving
Yes,
that day?
yes,
Is that the truck he normally drives?
yes, it is.
Now, had the family already found out that your grandfather died when he arrived?
Yes,
And they were kind of gathering it at your father's house?
yes.
During the course of that day, did you see Anthony Salinas pretty much continuously?
Yes, I did.
Were you outside, inside, or in the backyard?
We were outside, we were barbecuing.
Now, was your father the one that was cooking?
Yes,
Does he like to cook at night or during the day?
at night when he sweats too much.
Okay. Were you aware of a phone call that Anthony Salinas got during the late afternoon of that day?
Yes,
And do you know what he was told at that time?
I do not, I just know that he was upset.
And what did he do in reaction to that phone call?
He cut off his ankle bracelet.
Do you think you should have done that?
No, I was upset.
And did you share that
Oh,
concern
yes.
with him?
Very bluntly.
Very bluntly,
Mhm.
okay? Do you know how late he stayed there at your father's house?
I just know that the sun was already down when we were still barbecuing. That's what he had that.
And he never left before that.
No,
Now, you know, he and Denise Valdez have had a relationship on and off for a long time,
Yes,
and it's been pretty rocky relationship.
yeah.
Did he say, no, I don't want you to say what he said, but did he say anything about having seen Denise Valdez that day?
No,
And you're sure that he was still there until sundown of that day?
yes, I remember.
Now, sundown right now is about 8:30 in the evening, isn't it?
Yes, but it was a little bit later than that.
All right. And you're pretty confident that he and this maroon truck had never left your father's place from the time he got there until the time he left later in the evening?
No. No, he didn't leave anywhere.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Dave?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Lemus, what is the address that you have the barbecue at?
9660. Ramsden?
Obviously, you're aware that your uncle, right? Anthony Salinas was on GPS monitor at this time.
Yes.
And so GPS monitors tracks where he's at. What time do you recall him going to the house at 9663 Ratton, Bratton Drive?
I don't remember exactly, I just know it was when, I mean, it was sunny out, that's all I remember, because I remember trying to stay out of the heat, that's it.
Okay. Sunny can mean a lot of different things, right? So are we talking about noon?
No, maybe like around 5, 6-ish maybe.
And you understand that he's on monitor, so it tells us where he's at, right? So would it surprise you to know that the GPS monitor shows him at that red address, not until 6:09 p.m.
No, I mean, he was there.
So the GPS is just wrong.
Well, no, but I said around 5, 6, so I mean, if you say he's there at 6 o'clock, then he would have been there.
No, so that makes sense, right? That he's got, so it wouldn't surprise you to know that that's what it shows in that
No.
time. Okay. Are you aware of any of the facts about this case?
No,
Who called you to testify today?
Mr. Young,
Okay. And have you spoken with your uncle regarding the case?
no,
And so you can't tell this jury what happened prior to you seeing your uncle on August 14th of 2021.
no,
So up until he shows up to the party, right?
yes,
And really, the GPS doesn't show him there about till 6:09.
Yeah.
So if this offense were to occur at about 5:45, you can't say that it didn't happen at that time.
is that the time that it says he arrived, or did he cut it off? I mean, because he was there for a good while before he did cut it off.
No, so we have a 911 call and evidence that says it was called at about 5:45 p.m. And his GPS doesn't show him at the brand address until 6:09 p.m., right? So you can't tell us that he was not at that 4 Drive address where this offense occurred at about 5:45 p.m.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily, or you just can't.
I can't.
You testified earlier on direct examination that Anthony and Denise had a pretty, what I wrote down, as you said, was a rocky relationship. That yes.
Yes.
Can mean a lot of
That's okay,
different types of that. Just to make sure we're on the same page. Is it fair to say it's pretty rocky that he's been to prison twice for assaulting her?
Yes, that's what he's been trying for in the past, yes.
He's gone to prison twice for it.
Yes,
And are you aware of why he had a GPS monitor on August 14th of 2021?
that I was aware of, it was because he was on parole for those cases,
Parole for those cases?
I believe, I mean, I don't know exactly,
Okay, so you're not sure why he was on GPS monitor?
no.
would it surprise you to know that he was on GPS monitor for a pending case involving Denise as well, a different one?
No.
I'll pass the witness. Judge.
All right, defense.
No further questions.
All right, is this witness
Defense
excused?
rests.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Yes,
Excused.
Yes, like excused. Yes.
she's excused.
All right. The rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you can speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense. You understand? All right, you may step down. All right, defense, call your next witness.
Defense rests.
State.
Yeah, at this time, the state would rest and close.
Defense.
Close.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have received all the evidence that you're going to receive in this case. What we're going to do is we're going to come back tomorrow at 9 a.m. At 9 a.m., I will read to you what's known as the charge of the court. And then both the state and the defense will have a chance to do closing arguments to you. Again, you're not allowed to deliberate. I will give you instructions on when you are to start deliberating. I don't expect this to be in the newspaper or any type of media, but if it is, you are to disregard and not pay any attention to it. Does everyone understand? This is my promise to you. We're going to start at exactly 9 a.m. Okay. All right. So I'll see you all tomorrow at 9 a.m. If everyone could please rise for the